in Accra or Ghana. I want to export my goods to my compatriots in Kenya. And yet I must take my local currency and change it into some third-party currency, and then it's changed again to pay my colleague SME in Kenya. And so the Pan-African payment and settlement system is a thing whose time has come. And with urgency, I should be able to ship my goods to Kenya and get paid in my cedis rather than in some foreign currency. And so that's something we need to work on. Aside from that, the logistics of moving goods from place to place, I believe it's beginning to change. It's not that hopeless. Like our brother said, Paulo, you know, the work of ASCAI in West Africa is connecting almost all the cities in West Africa to each other. You can catch a flight now any day on ASCAI to Liberia, to Guinea, wherever you want to go in West Africa. And you can join the long-haul flights to South Africa. Ethiopian is doing a great job servicing almost every country. Several years before, it wasn't like that. I have a friend who, there used to be Air Freak. I mean, he was going to Gambia, and he checked in, and they took off. After several hours of delays, he got to Gambia, his bag didn't come, and he stayed there for a week. His bag never came, he had to buy new clothes. He arrived back in Accra to go and complain about his lost bag, and they were loading his bag onto the flight to Gambia. And so he says, that's my bag, that's my bag. And so they took it out for him. Things have progressed. There are now reefer vessels taking cargo that arrive in Tema and redistributing them all along the west coast from Dakar to Douala. So I guess that the logistics will come once the supply and demand is there, the logistics will follow. There's a new ferry service being advocated by the private sector to service the west coast of Africa. So take trucks and cargo from Accra to Apapa in Lagos, from Apapa to Monrovia in Liberia. And I think that all that would improve the logistical situation. Baroness Chapman, this representative, the ambassador, the high commissioner, has said something profound. He says, when Africa prospers, Europe prospers. And that's true. Africa's prosperity is not a threat to anybody in this world. Africa's prosperity will consolidate world prosperity. And it will be a positive for this world, not a threat. And so we want to thank Baroness Chapman for those kind words. El-Hajj spoke on behalf of our stakeholders, and we're happy that they are sacrificing their time and effort to join this great movement to create prosperity for Africa. Aldo raised a very important issue. He says we come with the decisions, we agree, we do the frameworks. What is missing is urgency in implementation. Urgency in implementation. We take time and we behave like time is waiting for us. And so Accra Reset is a good idea, but let's implement urgently. If parts of the continent are not ready, let's have a coalition of the willing who move this as fast as possible and let all the others follow and join. Let me thank our Egyptian minister for the very inspiring words he said. It transported me back to Kwame Nkrumah's time. He spoke, I mean, like a true Pan-Africanist. I thank you very much. There are issues, and I'll just give one example from Ghana. Just before I left, we have a crisis in our cocoa sector. We set a producer price for the farmer. At the time we set the price of cocoa on the international market was 7,200. We have a policy in Ghana where we give the farmer 70% of the world market price. The other 30% is used for administration, to supply fertilizers to the farmers, to provide scholarships for their children and all that kind of thing. The CD's value was 11.5 CDs to $1. So we set the producer price. The world market price has declined to 4,200. The CD has appreciated in value to 10.7 to the dollar. So suddenly it means that for every ton you buy at the producer price, you have a gap. And so we'll be losing. And so we held a crisis meeting and we took decisions. And one of the major problems is that to buy cocoa from our own farmers, we rely on funding from outside. And you know what the collateral for the funding is, our own cocoa beans. So you have to collateralize the beans to the financier, buy the beans and just ship them, and they pay you the international market price. So one of the key decisions we've taken is that we're going to stop foreign funding for the purchase of our cocoa. We're going to raise domestic bonds. We have enough CDs in Ghana to pay for our cocoa. We're going to raise domestic bonds, buy our own cocoa. We don't need to collateralize the beans. I know the interesting part. We have the capacity to process 400,000 tons of those beans, processing capacity in Ghana. But because the beans are collateralized, we cannot even allocate those beans to to the local processors, we have to ship all the beans outside. Now, if we buy the beans ourselves, we can take 400,000 tons out of the beans and give to our local processors to add value. That is what the Accra Reset is about. I say by 2030, there are not going to be any raw mineral ores leaving Ghana. You're not going to ship manganese ores out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship bauxite ore out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship iron ore out of Ghana raw. You must process all that locally. That is the only way we can provide opportunities for our young people. Our young people are not as patient as our generation. They want to see that progress and prosperity today. And that is why Accra Reset has that urgency that we need to implement in order that we stop our young people from braving the dangers of the Sahara and the Mediterranean to try to get to Europe to look for opportunity. And so I want to say thank you to all of you who found time to attend. And as we said, this is the Addis reckoning. From Addis, we must stop the talking and we must start implementing. Thank you very much.